Cognitive dissonance. In the last video I made, I said I would do a short piece on cognitive dissonance. What is it, and how are the three basic methods that we as people use to overcome our internal cognitive dissonance? How does understanding that allow us to make changes in our lives, positive changes in our life, and just understand the way we behave as people? So firstly, very simplistically, what is cognitive dissonance? So cognitive dissonance is the stress or anguish that we create ourselves internally in our own minds when our beliefs and our actions and circumstances contradict each other. So if we believe one thing and either behave in a way that's contrary to our belief, or the circumstances around us contradict what we emphatically believe, we become very, very stressed. We basically we don't like it internally, and our minds can't live in that state because of all sorts of chemical imbalances that stress causes. So we take care of it. We have a structure and a method inside our own minds for how we deal with cognitive dissonance. And basically we take one of three choices. We either change the belief, or we change our actions, or we justify to ourselves why we are doing something contrary to what we believe. So by way of example, I'm just going to use the example here of someone who smokes. Now you can replace smoking with any belief system, anything, any action, anything you do relating to, in my case, relating to obviously drinking, smoking, nutrition and lifestyle health, because that's what I tend to focus on. But really it could be a focus on anything in a business environment, any situation. So if we take someone who smokes, now there is a mammoth body of evidence. I think it's beyond refuted. I think anybody can really argue with it. That says that smoking is bad for us. All right, smoking shortens our lifespan, makes us unhealthy. It's just bad for us. All right. Now, if I'm someone who has, and you can't avoid it these days, read all that evidence, I become fully aware, my belief system makes me aware that smoking is bad for me, and yet I smoke. I choose to smoke. I don't personally, by the way, just by way of example. So we create this cognitive dissonance. Every time we light up a cigarette, we potentially have this massive stressor going on inside us because we know that we're doing something that's bad for us. So how do we deal with cognitive dissonance? As I said, we'll do one of three things. First thing is, which can potentially change our belief system. So how do we change our belief system? Well, we decide that we are going to ignore all those hundreds of thousands of studies that are out there that show that smoking is bad for us, because we all know somebody who knows somebody whose great-grandmother is 140 years old and smoked 45 packets of cigarettes a day and is in perfect shape, right? So therefore, smoking can't really be bad for us. I will say that due to genetics, there are probably about 10 to 15% of the population for whom smoking won't cause lung cancer. It may cause other problems, but it won't cause lung cancer. All right. So if you've got a population in the UK of 70 million people, and 10% of those are the exception to the rule, yes, potentially everybody we know knows somebody who falls into that bracket. All right. However, it's still only 10 to 15%. The chances are you're going to be part of the other 85 to 90%. So, but we can change that belief system. We decide to latch onto that fact that all the studies and all the science is wrong. There's this one little outlier that we found, one little outlier study, one little outlier individual that allows us to change our belief system. So now we suddenly don't believe that smoking is bad for us. That's one way to overcome our cognitive dissonance. Another way to overcome our cognitive dissonance is the justification side of things. So yes, I believe that smoking will kill me. Yes, I smoke. However, I'm going to justify that by saying, but who the hell wants to live past 35 anyway? You know, the mantra of the youth, live fast, die young. Funnily enough, growing up, myself and pretty much everybody else I knew lived by that belief, the James Dean theory to life, live fast, die young. Amazingly, as all of us approached our 30s and just crossed over our 30s, that belief system seemed to just, that belief system, there's a cognitive dissonance in itself, quickly seemed to disappear. Suddenly, as you approach 30 and get past it, the concept of living fast and dying young suddenly becomes not quite so appealing anymore. All right, but that's how we do the justification. So yes, smoking's bad for me. Yes, I smoke, but I don't want to live long anyway. Life's shit. circumstances, whatever it might be. I don't want to go past that. So we justify the behavior. And the third option is to stop smoking. Yep, change the behavior. Don't change the belief. Don't find a justification. Change the behavior. Changing the behavior in many cases is the hard thing to do. So quite important to understand. There is, however, a circumstance where I believe changing the belief is more important, and that is where the belief is quite frankly wrong. So sometimes we need to question our beliefs before we question our actions, and one of the key ones around this, I think, is our belief in ourselves. You know, if we believe that we are not destined for good things, if we believe that our lives are destined to be crappy, then to overcome any cognitive dissonance by suddenly being successful will alter our behavior all of a sudden to match our personal belief and self-sabotage. So first point there is change the belief. Work on changing the belief, and I will do a video on this next time. Next time I'll talk a little bit about fake it till you make it, or fake it till you become it, which is an expression I heard recently, in order to change our internal belief about ourselves. So if sometimes you need to question the belief system to make sure that your belief system is correct. But when the overwhelming body of evidence suggests that smoking is bad for you, that exercising or being more physically active is good for you, where bad nutrition and living your entire life on overly processed foods in abundance without any physical activity to go with that, the evidence is pretty secure. The belief is probably correct. Don't change your belief to an incorrect belief to try to match your behavior. Don't find a way to justify your behavior. Change the behavior. That's the way to overcome the cognitive dissonance. So in the last video I made, I spoke a little bit about in the cycle of change, contemplation, pre-contemplation, contemplation, planning, action, maintenance, and or relapse. And I spoke about moving people from the pre-contemplation phase, so not knowing that they needed to make a change, to the contemplation phase. Understanding cognitive dissonance helps you move forward from the contemplation phase. So the contemplation phase, you've developed the belief system that says you need to make a change. You've developed some beliefs in moving from pre-contemplation to contemplation, that maybe something in your lifestyle isn't correct. And now you're giving yourself cognitive dissonance. You're upping your stress levels because now you're realizing that your own behavior potentially doesn't match this new belief system. Don't re-alter the belief system. Don't justify the behavior. Now is when you move from pre-contemplation to planning, to discover how you're going to change your behavior to match your belief, to overcome your cognitive dissonance. Another little simple point about cognitive dissonance, see it in the workplace quite often. Often stress in the workplace is caused by knowing what the right thing to do is, but not doing it. So maybe you've said something to somebody that's incorrect or hurtful or whatever it might be, and you're a decent person, so you know in your system, your belief system, that you need to go and apologize. The biggest cause of stress that'll happen right there in your life is not the fact that you've accidentally hurt somebody or given them misinformation. It's knowing that you need to apologize and that you haven't done it yet, because your behavior and your belief system are now in contrast to each other, and you've got a state of cognitive dissonance. Easiest way to overcome the cognitive dissonance: man up, go and make the apology, go and tell the person you screwed up, and move on. It's amazing how quickly that cognitive dissonance just eases the second you do that, as soon as your behavior matches what you know to be right. So that's cognitive dissonance. That's what it's all about. Just remember, cognitive dissonance, when our actions and behaviors disagree with our internal beliefs, we have three choices. We can either change the belief, change the behavior, or try to justify why we're behaving contrary to what we believe. In most cases, the positive thing to do is to change the behavior. But always first analyze the belief and make sure the belief is correct. Very, very seldom is the solution to justify the behavior. Hope everybody has a good watch of this video. Remember, for more information, you can look at, you can DM me, phone me. Number will be posted next to this video somewhere, along with my email address. Neil Friedman. Have a good weekend, everybody.